Hello, friends. Welcome to A Glow in the Dark. I'm Casey. Today we're talking about joy. So June's theme is going to be all about joy. I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about what is joy, is your life joyous, and how to increase joy in our lives. Guys, I have to admit that when I thought about this topic of joy, I was not even sure what I was going to say about it. I think I wasn't even sure about what really joy was. I would not say that my life is particularly joyful, but after learning about joy more, I certainly know that I want it to be. So when I thought about feeling joy in my own life, I felt like, I really didn't know what joy was. So I honestly, square one, I was like, I need to Google it. I Googled the meaning of joy. The definition says that joy is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. So then I was like, okay, that makes sense, but I wanted more. I then looked up some different articles about and I saw that a lot of people were talking about the difference between joy and happiness. And so this is where I really started to understand more. In one of the articles I came across, it stated that joy is from the heart, whereas happiness is on the face. I had to really sit with that a while and wrap my head around, what joy and happiness was, what the difference is, what were the similarities. I also read that joy is a state that we choose, where happiness comes and goes. That is where I started to examine my own life, and I really started playing, like I said, the difference between feeling happiness and feeling joy. So the fact that we can feel joy in our hearts, but also experience sadness at the same time really stuck with me, because I really thought about that. Okay, so if happiness is this fleeting experience that we can feel happiness at one moment and then it's gone, then the difference between joy and happiness was that joy was something that we can feel 24/7, no matter what our circumstances were. So that really comforted me. Now, knowing this, again, I examined my own life, and instead of feeling down, I started to try to establish, okay, well, how many times do I smile a day? How many times do I laugh a day? As sort of like a marker of, how much joy I have in my life. But then I realized that I don't have to do that with joy. It's not about that. Maybe those are, if I don't smile in a day or laugh in a day, maybe those are sad days or I'm just feeling down. But this idea, perpetuating that we can feel joy no matter if what's on our face, if we're sad that day, we can continue to choose joy. So again, happiness is this fleeting feeling. It's superficial, and when it's gone, it's gone. So then when I think about what makes me happy, I think about circumstances that are, my husband says something funny and I laugh in the moment. We just bought kayaks the other weekend, and I was filled with great happiness because we got to go float on the river, and it was a very fun time. When I think of joy, though, I really think about those deep moments that fill my heart. So watching my son sleeping in our house that, me and my husband built together. We didn't physically build our house, but like this life that we built together. And then also just, walking hand in hand with my husband of 6 years. We've been together for 10. Those deep feelings of this joyful gratitude of what this life is. So I also want to share a little personal experience with you to kind of reiterate how we can integrate and choose joy in our life, even if we're experiencing something sad or just we're not feeling our best. So I recently went through a miscarriage, And this topic of joy was actually the perfect opportunity to test how that feeling of joy can remain in our heart, even if, you're sad or, in my experience, going through a miscarriage. So for anyone that doesn't know, I had a loss with my first child. She was born at 22 weeks. She did not survive. I went on to have a beautiful baby boy a year later after the loss. He's now 4 years old. We recently have decided that we're going to have another child. So we got pregnant. I found out about a week later when I went in for my first checkup, though, that I was miscarrying. So obviously these losses, this early miscarriage, I was only about 7 weeks pregnant, and the loss of my daughter, I was 22 weeks pregnant, is very different. Just in the timing of everything, but they are still both losses. So for nearly 3 years, I actually didn't process the grief that I was going through with my daughter. Finally, 2 years ago, I started that process, though, and I definitely am still working on it. But because I started that process and I'm working on it, I feel like I was able to really start the process of grieving the loss of this early miscarriage a lot easier. And then this topic of joy really came at the perfect time. It all kind of just came together because I was reading about joy and how it plays into our life and choosing it. And I was able to sort of integrate that feeling of joy in what I was experiencing of this loss of the miscarriage. So I had a close friend that, I told about the miscarriage, and the first thing she said to me was, she was really sorry for my loss. And then she said that, but, anytime we conceive, it's such a blessing, right? And I'll tell you, at first, I almost felt robbed, like she was sort of taking away from the feeling of losing the miscarriage. But then a wonderful thing happened. I just stood back and I was like, yeah, that is such a wonderful blessing that I was able to become pregnant. And, the first time around, something like that would have really offended me. It would have hurt. I would have been like, you don't understand what I'm going through, though. Just acknowledge that I'm experiencing a loss. But this time, because I've been through that grieving process and I had joy on my mind, I was able to feel that in my heart and just really recognize that, yes, this is a blessing, and I feel that joy, that deep sense of gratitude that I've been able to conceive. Yes, the pregnancy didn't work out, and that's the loss that I'm grieving, but it doesn't take away from that deep gratitude and joy in my heart, and vice versa. Feeling that joy doesn't take away from the feeling of loss. So it was just a really cool experience to feel that. And, I really appreciated it that I could trust my heart and also my mind into taking this grieving process to the next level. I will tell you that acknowledging and continuing to choose that joy, I felt like I could grieve so much easier, if you will, but, also quicker, acknowledge the grieving process sooner than I was able to the first time when I lost my daughter. So I really hope that you guys can think about joy in your life. Where are you in your life at this point? I'll be honest, some days I don't laugh or smile once. And I'm not going to say that those days are necessarily bad or sad, maybe just blah days, I'm not sure. But, from now on and kind of really acknowledging this joy and making a conscious effort to continue to choose that joy, I feel like I can maintain that in my heart, and I have this lingering feeling of the joy and what life I do have. So guys, I'd love to hear where you are in your joy journey. Is it hard to find the joy in your heart? Do you have a bunch of joy in your heart? I'd love to hear that too. If not, that's okay. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to continue talking about this joy. So for now, really think about what joy is. What could it be in your life? What do you want it to be in your life? Remember, it's a feeling in your heart. It doesn't have to do with what's on your face, and we can always choose joy. Thank you so much for watching. Wishing you love and light, and see you next time.